How to develop yourself as a leader. I'm going to tell you 4 specific things you've got to do if it's going to happen. When we can live life on our terms, on a holistic level, taking into account not just our business lives, but also our health, all of our relationships, from friends, family, partners, the world changes. All right, so I've had the good privilege to work with leaders literally all over the world. And I'm very, very fortunate and humbled to see the growth and development of a bunch of the leaders that I've worked with. It's really, truly amazing. And there's 4 basic steps that you need to take into account. The first one is acknowledging that the skills it took for you to get where you are not going to be the same skills it's going to take for you to get where you need to go. That if you used to be the chief cook, bottle washer, and a little bit of everything, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So the first very, very big step is understanding that just because you can doesn't mean you should, and what you got you here isn't going to get you there. So you're going to have to invest in yourself. So that's the first step. The second is embracing an attitude of curiosity. Always curious and always learning. This applies to everything you do. Even if you know the answer to the question, if you have somebody on your team and you're trying to delegate to them, I would beg you to not tell them how to solve the problem. I would beg you to be curious and say, okay, help me understand what you're thinking. How would you approach this? Why are you thinking it this way? But really start taking that attitude to where you transition from being the doer and the teller of things to more of a teacher, the facilitator, help them understand it, coach them to get better. But when you do this, you're always going to be curious and always going to be learning. Now, the second part of this is, how can you always be sharpening the saw? What is it you can be doing to invest time and energy in yourself? Remember, there's only 3 things in the world you can leverage: your time, your talent, and your treasure. Now, the treasure, our money, our stuff, is the thing that's the easiest metric to track, and that's the one everybody gets excited about and always follows, because it's easy. Our talent is ourselves, our skill set, our tools. This is something where, candidly, I invest roughly 20% of my time always trying to get better. It not only allows me to do a much better job with the people I work with, I'm constantly changing, constantly evolving, but I enjoy it and I get stronger and stronger myself. Candidly, it lets me charge a lot more. And then our time, actually time is our most valuable asset, because it's the only asset we have that's diminishing in every second, and yet it's the one we abuse the most. So think about, how can you be sharpening the saw? How can you be reading? You're watching the video, that's fantastic. How can you be going to courses? How can you be going to seminars? Things like that. If you can pick up just one nugget and you get a little bit stronger, you're going to get better as a leader. All right, the third thing is, I would encourage you to consider peer groups. I personally run different peer groups at peercircles.com, but peer groups are immensely powerful. When you can set the right group of people up together and you can create a safe environment that's facilitated, excuse me, a little COVID issue. When you can facilitate that and people can come together in a place where they can celebrate that amazing 5%, but then they also very candidly but safely can talk about the worst 5%, the challenges, the big areas they're having problems. How can you put that together? And peer groups can be very, very, very powerful. And that's one of the key areas to me, if you're looking to develop yourself as a leader, that you can invest in. And then the last thing to consider, the fourth thing, is understanding and transitioning the thinking that you are the primary asset of your organization, of your department, whatever it may be. And as such, you need to protect that asset. A lot of people end up investing more and more and more time. They just keep working harder and harder and harder and harder. They're not working smarter. And as such, they end up just getting buried. And people working 90 hours a week. If you're working 90 hours a week, you are doing a crappy job as a leader. I'm just telling you right now, unless you're running 10 companies. For the most part, when it comes to being that leader, understanding that when you, as a leader, are sleeping better, when you have a healthy relationship with your family at home, when you're exercising in the right way, when your mental health is solid, when your spiritual health is solid, those things come together, you're going to be the best you can be as a leader. It's going to really help you transition from a reactive state to a proactive state. We talk a lot about this on this channel. but how can you protect yourself as a leader so that the decisions you're making are the most positive decisions you can be? I have senior leaders that I work with that have become leaders of public companies now, who literally will tell you that having a good night's sleep is one of their number one competitive advantages because they aren't in that reactive state. So when it comes down to how do you develop yourself as a leader, we've got those 4 points. First off, make sure that you embrace that what got you here isn't going to get you there. You're going to have to break through. You're going to have to grow, and to grow, we never grow in comfort. We only grow in discomfort. So you're going to have to grow past that. The second is always be curious and always be learning. Help understand how other people are doing it, and then always be sharpening the saw. The third is consider joining a peer group. Again, we have peercircles.com. And then lastly, how can you protect the asset and invest the asset? We talk a lot about that at lifeon-yourterms.com. So if you found some value in this, hey, check out some of the other videos, subscribe. I'd love to hear from you. Keep smiling.